absolute pleasure to have you once again on my channel. If this is your first time checking out my channel, please do consider subscribing, because on this channel I'll teach you how to do simple DIY fashion right there in the comfort of your home. Today I'll be teaching you how to make a Pinafore Peplum top. Pinafore Peplum top. So let's get started. So this is the fabric that I'm going to use. I went to the fabric store yesterday and I got this. I love African fabric, even though I'm not African, but I love their fabric. And I'll be using this fabric to do this project, and this is the plan that we're going to look at. So here we have the Pinafore top. Don't mind my sketchy drawing, I'm not a good artist. So for the length of my top, I want it to be 27 inches. So it means then from the nape of my neck, so this top will have three parts. You're going to have the main part, you're going to have a band, and you're going to have the Pepum part of it, which is going to be 3 tiers. So from the nape of my neck to for the upper part, the length of it is going to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the length of my nape to my waist, and I'm going to subtract my band from it. So I want a band height of about 2 inches. So it means then the length of my nape to my waist is going to be 17 inches. So I'll have to subtract that band height from it, which is 2 inches. That's going to left me with 15 inches. So it means then that this upper part is going to be 15 inches long, plus I will need ½ an inch to sew it to the band itself. So it's going to be 15.5 inches. So for my band height, I said I wanted it to be 2 inches, but I will have to have seam allowance to sew it to the upper part and also to sew it to the peplum. And I'm going to add 1 inch to that, so it's going to be 3 inches high. For the length of the band, it's going to be your waist measurement. Plus, you have to ask yourself, do I need the band to tie, or do I need the band to, do I need a zipper in my peplum? Because in my top, because you can do 2 things. You could get a band that ties, or you could get a zipper in the back. It depends on what you want, but I'm going to just do it with a tie because I think it's just easier to do. So you're going to get the length of your waist, and then you're going to add some extra allowances. You're going to extra length in order to get the tie at the back. So now for the peplum, in order to get the peplum, you're going to need your waist measurement, and you're going to divide your waist measurement by 6.28 to get your radius. In this case, mine is 35 inches, and the radius is 6.28, and so that's going to be 5.5 for my radius. So because I said I needed this to have tiers, I'm going to have 3 tiers. So the length of the first tier, which is the longest one, is going to be 10 inches. So I'll have to add my radius to this 10 inches, and I'll get 15.5 inches. So that's the amount of fabric that I'll need unfold in order to get this. And it's the same thing for each tier. So for my second tier, I need it to be 7 inches. I'm going to add it to the same radius. For the third tier, it's going to be 4 inches, and I'm going to add it to the radius. So let's get started. Because the fabric is sort of have a lot of pattern, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it on it. So I'm going to draft it here, and then we transfer it to our fabric. So what I'm going to do, so this is the top part. We're going to draft the top half of this fabric. So I'm going to start with my straight line. Okay, this is not a very hard pattern to do, and I said that I needed it to be 15 inches from the nape, so this would be my shoulder line. So from my nape to my here would be 15.5 inches. So that's what you're going to draw here. And I'm going to make that into a straight line. You're also going to do your 3 inches, 8 inches standard, because you're going to need your slope, and that's what we do. I hope you get that, 3 inches and 8 inches. I'm sure you could do this another way to get it faster, but because I'm dealing with people of varied levels, that's why I go through all of this. But you can get it in different ways. Okay, so for the width, so what you're gonna ask yourself now is that you're gonna ask yourself how wide I want the front to be, right? You're not gonna take it all the way to your shoulder measurement, because what you find is that you're gonna find it peeking off your shoulder or dropping off your shoulder, and it's not gonna look so flattering. So what you're going to do from your shoulder, so for instance, my shoulder is 15 inches. Instead of using my entire shoulder, I'm just going to use 14 inches. I'm taking 1 inch off. So that means then this here is going to be 7 inches. So I'm going to mark my 7 inches here. And I'm going to just take the same measurement to the bottom, which is 7 inches. And I'm going to draw a straight line connecting those. All right, so for the waist, what I'll do is that I'm just gonna come in 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to just connect it back here. Okay. Okay. So here you're gonna have it. So what you're going to do, you're going to determine how wide you want this to be. I'll just do mine. Go in about, so this is 5 inches, so this is 3. I'm gonna go in 2 more inches here, okay, which is here, and then I'm going to go down for my depth about 4 inches. It depends on what you want. To be honest, there's no standard measurement to this one, just a little crop top. Okay, and then I'll just add my seam allowance here, 1/2 inch. Okay, so this here would be the length of what the strap is going to be. Okay, and remember, you're going to take in seam allowance. So if you don't want it so small, what I suggest is that you add seam allowance here, or you do not take here too broad. Okay, but this is fine for me. I'll just use 1/2 inch on both sides. So my band is going to be about 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and that's fine for me. Okay, all right. So now what I'll do is that I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so this, I'm going to use this one for the back, or for the front rather, because I need to show you something about the band for the front. So this is the front, and I'm going to slit this open, because I did cut it on fold, as I said earlier. So this here, so right here you put fold, so you don't forget to cut it on fold. And this would be, I'm gonna show you how to get the back. So to get the band, you're just going to measure this 2 inches all the way down. Okay, so measure 2 inches all the way down. So this would be the band that goes to the back. And you're gonna cut it off. Okay, if you want, so this is what you're going to have. So, but if you want your strap to be this length, what I suggest is that you add seam allowance all the way around. Okay, but remember, if you're adding seam allowance on this one, you have to also add it on this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so mates, so I went ahead and I cut out my pieces. So this is what I have. This is the front. I went ahead and I cut it out, and I cut out two of it because I'm going to use one as a lining. Okay, and this here is my band. Okay, this is the band area, and I cut out 4 of them. So it's like this. So this is the top part. So what you're going to do, you're going to do the same thing as you will do on your main fabric. You're going to take in your 1/2 inch seam allowance and turn it over, and then iron it down. So this one is for the back of the dress. The top, no, this is the band. So what I did, I cut 2 of them, 1, 2, and I cut it on fold. Each of them is, so I said my length, the waist is, my waist is 35. So half of 35, because it's on fold now, is gonna be 17.5 inches, which is right here. And then the rest of it is going to be for the tying of the dress. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out my peplum now. So I'm gonna set these aside, and I'm gonna work on my peplum. So here on our plan, remember we said that we're gonna have 3 tiers, and we want a radius of 5.5 inches. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it out on this. So you could cut one and then use that one to cut the rest of them. Okay. So what you're going to do, the first one is going to be 15.5 inches. So you need that amount of fabric. So I'm going to find 15.5 inches here, which is here. Make it 16 inches for seam allowance. Fold it over. So we're cutting the large one now. Fold it over. Then you're going to ensure that you have the same amount here on this side. 15.5, which is here, which is 16. And fold it one more time like this. Okay? So now your fabric is folded in 4. Fabric is folded in 4. So now you're going to take your radius. So remember 15.5, which is right there, more than. So let me just cut it out first so that I can manage the fabric. Okay. So I'm gonna take my 16 inches all the way around. There you go. Take it all the way around. I'm gonna cut it off just to manage it. So when you do that, you're going to take your radius now, okay? Which is 5.5. But remember we said that we're not going to make it exactly 5.5, because if you watch my previous video on how to draft a circle skirt, you'll see that you'll have to go up 1/2 inch to attach it. It's gonna be too big, so we're gonna take 5 inches all the way around. Okay? If you're having any trouble, you could always go back and watch that video, okay? It's very detailed where I went into 5 inches. 5 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it off now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna cut the others. I'm gonna cut them now. Okay, so mates, so I went ahead and I cut out my peplum. This is what I have. So what I'm going to do, you could do two things with your peplum. You could put horsehair braid to let it stand in it. I think it looks really nice with horsehair braid. Or you could fuse very hard interfacing on it also to let it stand. For this part, the front part of this one, you're going to put light interfacing on one of them, the front piece, and then for the band, you're also going to fuse up to your waist. Put interfacing up to your waist on one of the band, okay? You could also do the same thing on this part. So I'm gonna do all of that and then I'll show you how to assemble it. Okay, so mates, so I went ahead and I cut out each of my pieces. So if you notice, this is my peplum and I put interfacing on it. I'm not gonna put horsehair braid on mine, but you could go ahead. And this is my band. On one piece of my band, I put interfacing on it. This is the main part. I put interfacing on that also, and these are the straps. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the start my main part. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew my neckline and I'm going to sew the side. And also on this one, I'm going to sew them together. So this is 4 pieces. This is the bottom, this is the top. I'm going to take my 1/2 inch seam allowance because I want it to match this part also. So that's what you want them to match. So I'm gonna do that now. So for the straps, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna take my safety pin like this and I'm gonna turn it inside out. I'm gonna push it in like this just to get it in. So I'm gonna push it in like this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it to my ironing board and I'm gonna iron it flat. I'm also gonna turn over my front piece and I'm gonna iron it down. Gonna iron it down. So I'm gonna do that now. So mates, so after I went ahead and I ironed my pieces. This is how it looks. I would suggest that you notch the sides of yours before you go and iron, okay? So what you're going to do now is that you're going to take this, pull it out for a little while. You're gonna pull it out back like this, and you're going to take this, your strap, and push it in this part. Okay? You're gonna put it in like this, open it out, and put it in. Like this, okay? And you're going to stitch it down, and you're going to do it for this side also. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, so I went ahead and I attached the band. What you're going to do, you're going to find the midpoint of this line here. You're going to find the midpoint and you're going to notch it, okay? So that's what you're going to do. I'm going to put this aside until I have done the bottom. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to attach the peplum first. Okay, soulmates, so I went ahead and I did my peplum. This is what it looks like. Okay, these are all the 3 layers. See, they're nicely attached, and I put them together and I attach them. What I want you to do now is to take your waistband. So this is my waistband, and you're going to notch the center of the waistband. Okay, you're going to notch the center. So this is where my notch is. That's my notch, and I'm going to look for the other notch that I made. It's here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to sandwich the peplum between the waistband like this, right sides facing, and then you're going to attach it. So you're just going to attach the peplum part. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, soulmates, so I went ahead and I attached it up to my waist. If you notice right here, I did it up to where the peplum stops, but I'll have to finish the edge of it. So I'm gonna sew it all the way down till I reach the end of my band. I'm gonna do that now. Okay, soulmates, so this is what you're going to have. So what you're going to attach the top part of it, both the strap and also the middle. So what you're going to do, you're going to locate the middle. Okay, so if you notice here, my snips, it's here. So I'm gonna take the middle of my thing, my top, and I'm gonna attach it to the middle of it. And remember, I left 1/2 inch seam allowance, so you have to maintain that 1/2 inch seam allowance also. So to put your rope, what you're going to do, you're going to go to the edge of your band. And I was supposed to tell you that I went ahead and I ironed down my seam allowance here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna sew all the way around. So you have to fold in your seam allowance in order to do it. But before you do that, to put your rope, to know where you're gonna put your rope, you're going to go to the edge of your peplum. You're going to go to the edge of the peplum, which is here, and you're going to go in about, in my case, it's about 4.5 inches. So you're gonna go in 4.5 inches. So from this, the edge of it, you're gonna go in about 4.5 inches, which is about here. And that is where you're going to start putting your rope. So I'm just gonna use my pin to indicate that. And you're gonna do it on the other side. So it's right here. Okay, right there. Remember, you leave 1/2 inch seam allowance there. So that's what you're going to keep. Let me just put this here so that I could know that's where it's supposed to go. Okay, so this is where it's supposed to go. And what you're going to do, you're going to sew all the way down over your band, all the way around until you get to the middle part, where this will be in the center of your band. Remember to mark it so that you don't forget where it is. Okay, so I'm gonna do all of that and then I'll show you how it looks.